Hi Tubies, here's Alexandra again, and today we will start painting a World Eater Chaos Space Marine. First we start with a base coat over a grey primer of Scab Red. The color, as you can see, is very thin. It is a mixing ratio of 1:1 watercolor. And as you can see, the color is relatively good covering over the grey primer. So, and I will now paint the whole marine with this color. And I will finish this and we'll be back in a second. So, as you can see is that the miniature is now primed with a very thin base coat of Scab Red. You can see that the grey is shining through and giving the Scab Red a strange tone, but well, that's all we needed for this step. We just want to have a slightly red undercoat. The next step will be inking the whole model with Badab black ink to create all the shadows and dark recess areas we want for this miniature. For this two steps I use a very soft and big brush. This is not actually a GW brush, but well, you could use a base coat brush for this, or even bigger ones. Doesn't matter at all. But don't use your fine detail brushes for that work, because it's quite messy and damages brushes. So take a cheap one. And as you can see, this miniature, yes, is not an actual Corn Berserker from GW. It is a Chaos Space Marine. I converted to be World Eater Corn Berserker. But I think for this tutorial, this is enough. So I will go ahead and finish inking him, and we will be back when this is all dry. After 2 hours of drying, he is now ready to go on with the paint job. As you can see, all the ink is now completely dried, and we have a nice undercoat now to create our first layer of color. For this I use a 50-50 mix of Scab Red and Blood Red, my so-called Crimson Gore. And with this I paint the whole miniature in all the areas that need to be red. And I leave the recesses behind in black, for example here. Quite an easy step. Also, this color is watered down 1:1 because we don't want to have thick color on this miniature. We are going over this armor with several layers of paint, and if you would use the color directly from the pot, this would be much too thick, and we will destroy all the detail in the miniature, and we don't want that. So, quite an easy step. You'll see how it is achieved, and I'll be back when this is completely done. And ta-da! So it looks after this coat. And now we will go ahead with directly Blood Red, also watered down. And we are now dragging the color into the direction we want to highlight. This almost immediately gives a color transition. Because of the watered down color, we are dragging the paints, the pigments to be exact, pushing them into the direction we want, so that less pigments are here and more are up there where we want it to be bright. And after this area is dry, we will go over it with this color again, but just on the top part to even brighten this up. So we want the bright spots to be there, then here up there, and so on and so forth. And always leave a little bit of the old color behind, so we get even a better color transition. So, and directly between the legs we don't need to paint the color in, because it should be darker there anyway. So, and you may notice I only use the tip of the brush to move the color. So here I want the color to be bright in the middle, so we go from both sides. Hope you can see that very well. So here we can go slightly across at this very thin part. So, and from here on we're going back to the dragging the color from the outside to the inside. So now this leg is finally dry, so I can show you the application of the second coat only on the top part. We want a really big contrast from dark, almost black over dark red to really bright red at this miniature. So I will go ahead with the rest of the miniature with the same technique, and I'll be back when this is done. Here we have him now after the blood red step, and as you can see he starts to get really three-dimensional. And the next step will be a 50-50 mix of blood red and vomit brown. And as always we will start here at the leg, and we will paint now only the upper part of the leg in this color. Only this little bit, and then here, here a little, here on the shoulder pad on the top part. So, and here you can see now a little line, and I make a little trick. I use a wet brush, and now I'm pulling the color a little bit watered downwards. This is sort of a little wet blending, and so especially on such large areas this will erase this harsh paint line. So, and I will go on with the highlights now. To give it now a real bright flavor at the highlight spots. I hope you can see that now, this nice transition there. You can go back over it. Every time you go over it, you will intense the ratio on the highlight, because we are working with such watered down colors. So, and I'm not painting the entire armor now with this color. Just some chosen spots where I can pull out the highlights best, where they are shown best. for example here on top of his backpack exits or exhaust pipes. So again, erasing here the harsh paint line. This you can do only while the color is still wet. So you don't have much time for doing this, but well, it works. So now the plate. Also pulling the color into the direction you desire to have the highlight. And of course let the old color behind. So here's the first coat, there's the second coat, there's the blood red coat, and here's now this coat. So here's the front part. On the hands. And the higher you go with the highlights, the less you have to paint, because at this stage it's just a few brush strokes and it's done with the highlight. So, there. So, and now the last highlight, we will add blazing orange to the mix. Also water that down. And then we will go ahead with the last highlights. A little bit on top of that. A little bit there. So, and of course, this technique here I use for painting this red, you could transfer easily to every Blood Angel, Word Bearer, well, honestly, every other red marine. So, and that's all it is to paint red. It's not that hard. It's just picking out a little trick to get the coverage right by watering down the colors. If you don't water down your red, you will have big problems, and especially if you prime your miniature in black, then you have very, very big problems. But other than that, the red is now finished, and we will go on with the next part. The next part will be painting the gold parts. Normally I would first undercoat the parts that need to be gold, but actually this is quite a good undercoat here with this dark red for gold. Normally I would use a brown tone or tin bits, but this would go. What I use here, this is my own mixture of a gold, It is a mixture out of tin bits, shining gold, and dwarf bronzer. And this gives a really nice flat gold, as you can see. So, and it's quite easy to paint all the rivets and brass edges here, the decoration parts of the armor in gold. Quite easy, just use the tip of the brush and, well, just paint it gold. I'll be back when all the gold parts are gold. Now you can see all the gold parts are done, and, well, he actually starts to look like a real corn berserker, world eater. So, now it's time for painting all the metal parts, and for this we get the good old Boltgun metal for this job. This is, well, almost the same step like before. Just take your Boltgun metal, also of course water it a little bit down, not 1:1, but just a tiny bit, and start painting all the metal parts. And, well, try to avoid hitting the already painted areas. Like, for example, this little pipes here. Then, of course, here between the legs. Or here between the arm. Of course, on the other side also. Then the chainsword. And so on and so forth. I'll be back in a second. So, and now he's almost finished. Only that's left to do is hit the metal parts with a little bit of ink. In this case we are using Devlin mud to give it a nice war-torn flavor. Yeah, and then make the base. And paint the little eyes. Okay. Well, I'm inking him to the end, and then I'll show you the eyes. So, for the eyes we will need 3 colors. Dark Angel's Green, Snot Green, and Scorpion Green. So first we give the eye a base coat of Dark Angel's Green through the whole eye socket. So, that was a little bit too much, but we can rescue it. While it is wet, we can get rid of it. So, let's try this again. So, better. Now it's dark green. When this is dry, we will go for the second coat. The second step will be Snot Green. And for this, we will paint 2/3 of the eye with this color. You see? The back part we leave in Dark Angel's Green. Just like that. So, the third part will be Scorpion Green. Now we will only paint 1/3 of the eye in the front. Actually, it's only dot right in the front of the eye. Like that. So now we will give the eyes three-dimensionality, and for that we take a tiny little dot of white. And this will come in the far rear end of the eye, like that. And so the eyes are done. Well, what's left to do? Making the base and giving him a decal. Well, I will do this off camera and I will show you the finished World Eater Corn Berserker. And there we have him, all finished and ready for battle. A little tip, if you have problems with your decals, that they are warping, use some microsol and you get a nice even water transfer. So, I hope you liked this little tutorial, and we see us in the next video. Your Alexandra.